Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the 2019 Italian Grand Prix. And after a very sad weekend in Belgium, we are straight into it for another weekend. Visors down, right foot hard down, because that's what racers do. And here we are at the Italian Grand Prix. An amazing week as always. And Ferrari celebrating their 90th anniversary, 1929. The team began. Great changes over the years that now see it in 2019, arriving here at their home Grand Prix in front of the rabid and ever expectant Tifosi, having just won, believe it or not, their first Grand Prix of the year. And who else would it be but Charles Leclerc? Dominant in Spa. And on that very sad weekend, who else could it be but Charles, who took the victory? Seb was never quite in the mix in Spa, but can he be here in Monza? We're going to talk to both of them, given that it's a Ferrari weekend and a special one for them. Can they both be in the mix? Can they give the Tifosi what they want? Is this the last chance for Ferrari? Low downforce. All about the engine, all about the top speed. It's where they made the difference in Spa. Can it make the difference here in Monza? How does it feel arriving in Ferrari territory as a Ferrari race winner?
It felt unbelievable, especially yesterday. I mean, the amount of people there was in Milan was just crazy. I expected a lot of people. It went a lot beyond my expectations, and it was just once in a lifetime experience, and was a great day and a perfect day to start an amazing week.
Does it feel a bit mad that we're kind of looking at your Grand Prix victory in many ways as you getting the monkey off your back, something that you kind of needed to move beyond and just, get it done?
I didn't understand the monkey on my back thing. But obviously the first win in Formula 1 is always something special, and it always feels very far away until you get it. And once you get it, then you can focus on the future. And then, of course, the second, hopefully the other wins that will come will obviously feel special, but the first one is something that you keep forever. So it was great to do that, and finally, and now I can focus on the other races.
And you had crushing straight line speed in Spa, which must bode well for this weekend in front of the Tifosi.
Yeah, we were very quick, especially in qualifying. In the race, we were we lost a little bit of our straight line speed advantage. We were still quicker than Mercedes, but it was a little bit more balanced, so we need to understand why. Should be positive for here in qualifying, but on Sunday I think rain is expected. It will be tricky, but apart from that, I believe we'll be quick on the drive.
Coming here to Ferrari land, home of the Tifosi, does it help the fact you're coming off here off a Ferrari victory in Spa?
Probably in getting the people all excited, yes. So that's good. The key will be to make sure they're still excited after Sunday's race.
And do you think they will be?
I don't know. I can't predict. I've got balls, but none of them is crystal, so so we will see what happens.
I don't think Britain was expecting that answer, to be honest with you. Can I just ask, having Charles finally get that Grand Prix win that's been talked about all season, how important is it for him and for the team that weight's off his shoulder, you can just concentrate on getting the job done as a team?
It's a big day, In the end, obviously, it was horrible circumstances with what happened during the weekend, so it takes off a bit of the light. But he's very young, and I'm sure he sticks around for a long time, so he'll have more of those moments. But the first win is something you never forget.
And so from Ferrari to the team of the season so far, to Mercedes. When Lewis Hamilton said to us on Friday after the session he didn't think he had the speed in the car to cut the gap back to Ferrari, everybody said, it's typical Mercedes. Been saying that all year, but it proved to be so. Mercedes didn't have an answer for Ferrari on pure one-lap pace, but they very nearly got them in the race. Only Seb being a little bit naughty, and he admitted afterwards he played blocker to try and block Lewis for as long as he could. Ultimately, that could have made the difference, because Lewis believed, and Charles believed, with one more lap, it might not have been a Ferrari victory, but a Lewis Hamilton and a Mercedes one. Are they going to be in that same position this weekend? Let's ask Lewis.
There's a lot that is put on, in terms of performance, there is a lot that is put on the car. And I would say less often concerned with the driver. A lot, maybe, you look at some of the races we've come to, there's two of my cars and sometimes there's a car in between us, or maybe more than one. So it's not necessary who always has the fastest car. Sometimes, the reason I got into the sport and why my dad thought that I did well is because he used to say he bought me a 4-poster bed, he would call it. It was a fifth-hand car, and I used to pull out more from that car than the other drivers could do. And so some races I've been in the past been able to do more with the car than it's particularly wanted to do, and that's what I enjoy. So I arrive at these tracks and we've got the experience where we're not the quickest, like the last race, and I was able to make a subtle difference to progress forwards. So yeah, I just approach it the same, trying to outdrive the car if and when I can. And there's scenarios like the last race where we weren't particularly as quick as the Ferraris, but I'm able to outdrive it a little bit and put it in close range of the car that is fastest.
Spa was always going to be hard for Red Bull Racing, and in particular for Alex Albon, their new driver, given that he had an engine penalty and knew he'd be starting from the back of the grid. That said, he raced beautifully. He'd spent the whole weekend on heavy fuel, learning what the car was going to be like in the Grand Prix. And once he kind of got used to it, started putting some great moves on and did a really great job. Christian Horner very happy with how he did. He, though, wasn't all that happy with himself. Said he should have done a better job in the early laps. Max Verstappen never made it to the end of the first lap. A little bit optimistic into turn 1 with Kimi Räikkönen. It's Max that this weekend has the engine penalty, though. New spec Honda in the back of his car. What's he hoping for from this weekend at the Italian Grand Prix? New engine spec this weekend. Positive in that, but I guess the negative is starting at the back.
Yeah, you can say so. You look at the positive side is that I have to do some overtaking on Sunday, which I like, but I think this is the least painful track to do it, because we know that we're anyway going to be struggling a little bit more than normal on some other tracks. So yeah, and of course when you get more power it's always good. Also looking to the future for the rest of the season and for next year, I think our aim is to improve and be really, really competitive starting next year. So by doing that, you take a new engine, you learn again about that potential engine for the future. So looking forward to it.
Is it worth tuning it all the way up for this weekend, knowing that you're starting so far back, or are you going to have to hold a little bit back like you had to in Spa? And I know there were some frustrations there that you had to hold back.
Well, this is a fresh engine, so compared to Spa, where we're of course running to the end of the life of that engine, probably you will be able to run it a bit more powerful anyway. But it also depends a bit in what position you are. If you can still catch people in front of you, of course you're going to go for it. If you're at one point on your own, then you save it. But I think that's what you always do, so I don't think there will be any big surprises there.
Good race in Spa for Nico Hülkenberg, perhaps a little bit unexpectedly. We're going to catch up with him in a minute. Spoke to Daniel Ricciardo earlier today as well. Took the knock at turn 1 from Lance Stroll, and from that point on, the race was never really his. Damage to the car, and a bit of a disappointing weekend given the promise that Renault had shown. Let's talk though to Nico Hülkenberg, of course, out of contract for next year. Where does he go? We'll talk a little bit about that, I guess. But also looking towards this weekend, and how, knowing that he's out of the team at the end of the year, how does he approach the rest of this season? How are you?
Yeah, it's Thursday. So, I'm alright.
Okay. Do you have any news about next year for us yet?
Not yet, sorry.
Okay. Talking to Haas?
I'm talking to you right now.
I know, but I mean, when you're not.
No, I'm talking to my friends, talking to Renault still, so... about the race weekend, about
Obviously.
making the car go fast, stuff like that.
Okay. You're not going to tell us anything, are you?
Yeah, there's nothing to tell. There's nothing to dwell on about and speculate. That's kind of boring, isn't it, to speculate?
It's literally all we've got, mate.
That seems like a dull life.
Thanks. Make me feel really good about myself.
Maybe you should think it over again.
Okay, yeah. I'm questioning my entire existence and career. 20 years down the toilet. Thanks, bud. All right, cool. Let's start this one again. Hey, Spa was pretty good, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah, in the end, it did brighten up. Actually, it was a difficult weekend up to the race, and even during the race, it was not looking fantastic. But then towards the end, it kind of came to us. A bit lucky as well, obviously, with the retirement of 2 other cars. I think otherwise we still would have finished 10th or 9th or something like that. So it would have been a point or 2. But yeah, it's obviously welcome with the difficult season that we had so far. It's always nice to get a result under your belt, and take that positivity out of it and take that momentum into this weekend.
And what do you hope for from this weekend?
Just again I think the car performs well. Obviously, the midfield we are still all bunched up together. You saw in qualifying that we were quite competitive in Spa. So hopefully we can have the same thing here without taking an engine penalty, and then keep our head down and score more points this weekend.
Knowing you're not going to be at the team next year, does it change your I don't know, not motivation, but does it change the way that you approach a weekend in any way? Like, I don't know, if you know you're leaving a job, you might sort of sit at your desk and play solitaire on the computer for your last couple of weeks.
Yeah, F1 doesn't work quite like that. You still have to put in the effort to get the results. I have a pretty tough teammate as well, so I need to keep working it. Otherwise, I'll just lose out. So no, not really. I mean, it's also more than anything, it's a challenge. But I'm feel more motivated rather than sad or disappointed. I won't let my head down. I want to prove to them that I'm good, and just want to get the best race by race.
And so to Haas, tough one again in Spa. Magnussen dropping like a stone. Grosjean, though, somehow holding his own. At the start of the weekend after practice, he said the car in race trim felt horrible, one of the worst cars he'd ever driven in his Formula One career, and yet come Sunday, it kind of levelled itself out, much to his surprise, as we're about to hear. Potentially, is there maybe some hope, some little shard of light in the darkness that has been the recent races for Haas, for Romain Grosjean arriving here in Monza? Into this weekend, looking back to the last, quali was good, race started off looking great. Was it the surprise?
Yes, very, very much. On Friday, the race pace was about 2 seconds slower than the Renault. So we got into the race not knowing which sauce we were going to be eaten with. And after a couple of laps, I thought, you know what, this could be a 2015 all over again. The car is going fast. Yes, the McLaren is slightly pulling ahead, but the pace is good, the car is easy to drive. Force India is not catching me that fast. It's looking good. And then on C2s, medium tires, went out again and felt even better. So yeah, it was like, this could be the day where we get some good points. And obviously, if you look at the race and so on, maybe a P5 position was possible at the end.
So why wasn't it?
20 kph down on a straight line. I was one of those races where you finish and you're so frustrated because the car was good, but we didn't have any top speed. Why? It's just because the way we've got to operate the car and get the tires to work, we had to put the drag or the downforce on the car, meaning the drag, and we knew we were not fast on the straights, and we paid a very heavy price being behind Daniel, and I tried everything I had in my sleeves, but just nothing would work, and very, very hard to see everyone catching you and just passing by like nothing was happening, and you can't go anywhere.
Is this ultimately going to be the issue with the car? Because obviously you haven't driven this car for a little bit, but is it so inherently lacking downforce and the ability to get the temperature into the tyres that you have to rack on so much wing to get the tyres working for you, that on anywhere that relies on speed down the straights, here, maybe Suzuka, you're going to be struggling?
It could be. I don't want to go too much into details because obviously some of our stuff is private. But yeah, we've had a couple of issues this year that are very clear. I think the latest one is, yes, we're lacking downforce and therefore having to put wings on. So maybe here could be a tricky one. Maybe Suzuka, actually, if we can run the good amount of downforce with the high energy circuits, we could be fine. But we never know. So I'll just rather just wait and see day by day how we're going, and hoping that we get some good surprise as we had in Spa on Sunday.
Talking about good surprises, are we going to get a good surprise about your future? Do you know what's going to happen yet?
I do not know yet. I'll let you know when I know.
Massively disappointing weekend for McLaren in Spa. Always going to be hard. Carlos was starting from the back of the field with a new engine. He only made it around the formation lap. The rest of the day went to hell. So yeah, not fun for him. Lando Norris fought beautifully, looking like a bolted on 5th place until the engine went with 1 lap to go. He said when we spoke to him earlier today, it still hurts. Not least helped by his mates. If you've seen online this week, he was doing some sim racing during the week, and his mates just rinsed him for his engine messages, where he swore and then swore a lot more. And then as his car, it was actually quite heartbreaking, because you could tell the frustration and the swear word that came out, and that was just raw, and you feel for the guy. And then what made you feel for him even more was, as he was told to park up, and turn the car off, you just heard this little and it was like, oh man, it was so hard. Anyway, poor old Lando, hoping obviously his engine doesn't go bang on him this weekend. Carlos hoping for that too. We're going to hear from Carlos, trying to put a brave face on what was a really miserable weekend.
Yeah, there was basically no weekend for me. No, I didn't compete in quali. I only did 1 lap in the whole quali until it got disrupted by a red flag, and I actually didn't compete in the race. So after such a long summer break, it's probably the worst race where you actually don't want to compete, or don't have to compete. But anyway, that's over, and we are now ready for Monza. We did have some issues on the power unit, but we think we're gonna be able to run it again. I'm gonna try tomorrow on Friday and see how it goes.
It was a very disappointing weekend, as you say. Lando also had a disappointing one. Are there any worries within the team about what you've got in the back of your car and any sort of repeated issues towards the end of this year?
Well, thinking it carefully, I did a bit of a review of the season, and I actually knew that going into Spa I had 8 consecutive points finish. So the reliability hasn't been that bad during the year. Is that it happened in lap 11 of the first race of the season, which was honestly quite disappointing, and in lap 0 of Spa, which is obviously very disappointing. But then you put it into perspective, and we've had 2 issues the whole year, which is not great, but not terrible either.
So actually quite a positive trend for this year.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
No, but yeah, you see how good I'm trying to be positive. It's always, I try to be positive with the attitude. It was obviously very disappointing, but putting everything into perspective, we cannot be too angry.
Double point score for Sport Pacer Racing Point last time out in Spa, a track that always suits them very well. Just seems to be something kind of magic about that place and this team. But it wasn't as good as it could have been. Some suggestions, well, not just suggestions. We know Mercedes had to kind of turn their engines down a little bit. That new spec power unit not really doing the job it was intended to do. Sergio Perez caught fire in practice on Friday. We saw Robert Kubica's go bang as well. So some niggles there, some issues, which Mercedes are working on at the moment. At Brixworth in the UK, Mercedes, the engine side of Mercedes, trying to find the fix that will allow them to run at full tilt. These guys had to just back it off a little bit in the race, and ultimately that might have cost them that last position that Checo lost on the last lap to Alex Albon. But it was double point score. Let's talk to Checo about that race, and does he expect the same issues here, or does he expect them to be a little bit easier than they were in Spa? You had a number of engine issues throughout the weekend, and I know a lot of Mercedes guys had to actually turn the engine down a bit in the race.
Yes, we had to do the same. I had to avoid chaos on the first lap, so that meant I lost 2 positions to the Hases and another 1 to the McLarens. So to recover that, we had to be very aggressive with the strategy, and I think we paid the price at the end, because at the end Albon was nearly 2 seconds a lap faster in a couple of laps. So yeah, I think we were unlucky on one side, but given all the issues we lost an engine, so I think given everything that happened, it's a good result.
Obviously it was very noticeable, the problem with your power unit. Are you worried this weekend as well? It's another circuit, big long straights, lots of flat out.
Yeah, probably we are a bit concerned, putting a lot of stress on the engine. We lost it too early on Friday, but yeah, I hope that we can have it back for this weekend, because it will be a good place to pay the penalty.
Now we arrive at the Italian Grand Prix, and let's not forget, the first Italian Grand Prix for Alfa Romeo in quite some years. A team from which Ferrari was born. They have the bigger, deeper, longer history in the world of automobiles than does Ferrari. You'd never think it, and yet they do. We're going to talk to Kimi and Antonio Giovinazzi. Why not? It's their home race, and it's a home race for Giovinazzi, first Italian driver for quite some time. So disappointing race for both of them ultimately at Spa. Giovinazzi, a mistake on the penultimate lap that saw him in the barriers. Luckily he's okay. Kimi, that contact with Verstappen at turn 1, and really ruining what could have been a great weekend after a phenomenal qualifying performance that should give them some hope coming into their home race. Finally, the Italians have an Italian bag. Is there any extra pressure on that, or are you just loving the fact that you're at your home Grand Prix?
I will lie to you if I say I have no pressure, but it's something really great to see the support of the Tifosi. Already yesterday Milan I saw, and then I think a lot of my friends will come here, my family will be here, and looking forward to have a good weekend, enjoy my first weekend in my home Grand Prix, and hope to have a good result on Sunday, just to say thanks to them for the support they give me.
And also to represent Alfa Romeo, which, let's not forget, has a longer history than Ferrari.
Yeah, it's home Grand Prix for me, for the team. We have an Italian engine as well, so it's a really special weekend for us. And I think in the end, in Spa we show that in quali and race we have a really good car, and we need to achieve more. And I think the team deserves this. And so for this, me and Kimi, we need to push really hard this weekend to have the best result for the team.
We didn't get to speak to you after the race in Spa. What happened towards the end there?
I think everyone saw what happened. I think the main thing was that until that moment, so just one lap before the end, I did my best race in F1. We did a really good comeback from P18, then I was P14 after the pit stop, and back in P9. And I think the pace was really fast, and this is really important. So now I want just to forget Spa, and I want to enjoy this weekend because it's really important for me, Grand Prix. So I want to just restart and have a good Sunday and good result.
Something about this track that seems to lend itself to Italians as well. Is it the home support, or is it just the flow of this place that seems to get you guys going fast?
Yeah, I think both. I think the Tifosi did really the 60% of the result because they give you a lot of support. Plus, I think it's a track where you can overtake, so you can enjoy the race. And I have a good memory back in 2016, starting from Pilas and winning the race. And this what, of course, not the same result will be difficult, but I want the best result of my career, or at least for this season here in Monza.
I mean, it's going to rain on Sunday. It's not impossible.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think we show also in the rain a really good pace in Hockenheim, so we are ready for both conditions.
It's our home race, so it's a very special weekend for our team also. And as a place, it's always nice to come. It's close by from the home, and great support always from Ferrari fans, Tifosis, and not only all the years that I was with Ferrari, but in general it's a good atmosphere, great history in the place. So I always enjoy to come here, but we'll hopefully do well and get our team's home race to going.
You say hopefully. It looked great in Spa right up until the first corner. How much positivity does the speed you guys had down the straights in Spa give you positivity for this weekend? Another sort of flat out blast.
Yeah, it's a bit different track obviously, but I think was good. At least when we didn't score any points as a team, it was very disappointing after how good we seemed to be all weekend. But the car was fast there, and we were fast in a completely different track in Hungary before, so it seems to be pretty okay in all kind of conditions. So let's hope it's the same here, and we can be fighting in a similar position in qualifying than there. I think as long as we survive the first corners here, it's always a tricky, so it should be okay.
Now in Spa, both Toro Rosso drivers fought valiantly through the pack and had a really good race at the end of a tough weekend, particularly tough for Pierre Gasly after the awful events on Saturday. And you can see he, as his compatriots and Wichard, they're all still hurting a lot this weekend. We talked to Pierre. He is looking forward to this one because, it's a great track. It's a home race for Toro Rosso, and he just wants to get in, drive on. I'm going to talk to Danny Kvyat though, who just seems to be loving life right now. You will have heard, I'm sure, the radio messages from him after the Grand Prix, which again, unrepeatable in their quite sweary nature, but reflect and I think show just how much he's loving racing for this team and what he can pull out of the car against all expectations.
Yeah, it was enjoyable, when you start last and you just keep going through the field, overtaking everyone, you feel like you're faster than your direct competitors. It's a great feeling, and really enjoyed that one. So yeah, it was great to finish the race in that position, but especially it feels very good because we started last.
How much are you enjoying this year? Because we hear on the radio a lot of kind of joyful messages from you. Is it surprising people that you're enjoying? Is it just being in the car and actually being able to race people?
I think this year we're having a very strong season so far. We scored many points for myself and for the team. So it's always good feeling to know that we're doing a good job as a team and myself personally. So the races like Spa, they give you particular satisfaction. And I just really enjoyed this year, and I'm driving at a very high level. So what is there not to enjoy?
Absolutely. Car has looked good. It looked very good in Spa. Do you expect that to translate to here in Monza?
Yes, our car sometimes, when we put it in the right window, it performs really well. But as we drop a little bit outside that happy window, let's say we're experiencing a few troubles. So we just need to try and optimize always in every track this window and try to get it in the right window. So in Spa on Sunday, we really had everything right, and everything was going towards a strong race for us. And we just need to try to do the same job here, even if in theory Monza is a difficult track for us. We need to try and optimize the package for it.
I mean, you talk about getting in the window. Germany was a great example of that. It should be similar kind of inclement weather throughout this weekend, chance of rain even going through to the Grand Prix on Sunday. Is that a good thing for you guys?
Yeah, exactly. We have to be open-minded about the weather as well, flexible, like in Germany. If it's similar kind of weather conditions, we know what to do more or less, and we try to obviously maximize if the conditions will help us. Of course, it doesn't guarantee you a good result. It can be that in one race everything helped us, and it can be against us. So we just need to try and be in the moment.
And finally, to Rucola Williams Racing, as I believe it's termed in Italy. Not my joke, that was Steve's. Wasn't it, Steve? You can take full responsibility for that. We're going to finish with Robert Kubica. And I've been pulled up on this all season. It's Kubica, not Kubica. Well, actually, for a long time it was Kubica, and you're going to find out why, because his history in Italy is such a huge part of the story of Robert Kubica, and how he got to where he did, how he ultimately came to Formula One, his younger years in karting and the junior formulas. He's as much Italian in many ways as he is Polish. The fans here, the Tifosi, they love Ferrari, they love their Alfa Romeo as well, but they love Roberto Kubica because there's just a part of him that is essentially Italian. Really nice to catch up with Robert about why he loves this country and why it loves him.
Yeah, it's a really nice place, a very spectacular track, I would say, also for driving. A lot of high-speed sections, big braking, and this has been always a nice place with good memories for myself. So yeah, really happy to be here, and looking forward. And
not just Monza, but Italy as well, where your career started in karts. When you come back to Italy, I know you spend a lot of time here anyway, but does it sort of make you think of the path you've been on, to get to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Italy has been a big part of my karting, and not only karting career, because then I did also race with Italian teams in Formula Renault, Formula Prix. So there is a lot of, let's say, Italian moments in my life, in my sport life, which is really nice, and I was very lucky to always find good people, which helped me a lot, especially here. So yeah, actually, first time I have been here was in '99. I did an endurance race in karting, we were driving through the pit lane, and on the main straight there was a
here at Monza?
Yeah,
No
when
way.
I was 14 or 13. Yeah, 14. So yeah, it was actually first time here.
Do you sometimes feel a bit like equally as Italian as Polish? Because the fans love you here. They've always taken you to their heart.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's because I speak very well Italian. So for many years, I was associated as a kind of person which have been seen for a very long time around the paddock, not only in, as I said, in let's say Formula 1, but in previous categories. So I have a lot of friends, a lot of fans, so it's a really nice place for me.
Is that why you were known as Kubica? Because the Italians said Kubica, not Kubica, so it's all, we can blame the Italians for that.
Yeah, actually, this is the reason, and for many years I have been racing, and nobody called me Kubica. They always called me Kubica, so it sounds quicker, and so I leave it like it is.
You talk about being quicker. Is this going to be a tough one for you? I know you guys have got drag issues with the car. Is this going to be another hard one?
Yeah, I think so. Although weather forecast might help us a bit, so we will see. But definitely, it will not be a place where our car will look stronger than the other places. Definitely.
And that's about all we've got time for this week from Monza, from Italy. It's not the usual glorious weather that we're used to here. The golden beams of light creating the dappled effect on the drivers as they fly through Lesmo 1 and 2. No, it's going to rain, apparently, all the way through the weekend, all the way through practice. Saturday might have a little bit of rain as well. Crucially, Sunday, we're expecting it to be cooler, rain throughout the morning as well. So heaven knows what that's going to do to the competitive order. Here, Ferrari's potentially one of their last great chances of a win. Will their hopes be dampened? They've got to hope not, but it is going to be one of those weekends potentially where the weather can play its effect and we get a really confused, jumbled up order, just as we saw in Germany. Wouldn't that be great? Not if you're a Ferrari fan. Anyway, that's your lot. Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to a good weekend here at the Theatre of Speed with Ferrari bouncing back with a phenomenal victory last time out in Spa. Can they repeat that in front of the Tifosi? We'll see you later.